Hey, Joe here with the Gun Shop, and this is part 2 of buying your first handgun. Now, one of the big questions we always get when people come in to buy the first handgun is revolver or semi-automatic. It's a good question. I think a lot of the information out there is pretty biased on things, so I'm going to be here to break it down, give you the pros and cons of each, and it's going to help you make the better informed, educated decision when buying your first handgun. Let's just jump right in with the semi-automatic. Now, let's verify this is empty. The first plus for me, pro for a semi-automatic, is how quick it is to reload. I mean, basically you have a magazine. Again, this is a magazine, not a clip. This one holds 15 rounds. You would insert the magazine into the magazine well of the handgun, rack it, you're loaded, you're ready to go. That simple, you have 15 rounds. If you want, you can actually take the magazine out, top it off, and you have 16 rounds in there. That's the biggest plus for me for a semi-automatic, is its ease of loading and how quick it is. I mean, it's within seconds, you can have another 15 rounds in your gun if you needed them. Biggest plus I could see out there. Higher capacity. We already talked about 15 rounds. Most of your revolvers are going to be 5, 6 rounds, somewhere in there. 15 rounds. Yes, you can get a smaller gun. Semi-automatic, like let's say the Glock 43, it's 6+1, so you have 7 rounds in there. Again, it's still quick to reload. A lot of the times your semi-automatics will be thinner. They'll have a thinner profile than your revolver. This is a pretty good sized gun right here. This is a Glock 19. I'll compare it real quick with the revolver. Revolver's a little thicker. I think the revolver has a little more sharper edges there with the cylinder. Where this to me is just easier to carry on your person. They tend to be lighter with your semi-automatics. And we can argue that one. Depends on what kind you're looking at. If you're looking at one of the polymer guns out there between Glock, Smith & Wesson, all the major manufacturers make one now. They're pretty light. Easy to maintain. There's not much to rust on these things. They're simple. Yes, they are plastic. If it's a strong plastic, it's not going to break. It's not like a kid's toy. But that's a plus, man. It's less maintenance on it, in my opinion, and makes the gun lighter. Most of the time, with a very good, high-quality semi-automatic compared to a high-quality revolver, the semi-automatic is going to be a lot cheaper. Don't know why that is. Now, there are a few negatives, cons to your semi-automatic. One, they can jam. I believe both can jam, but yes, these can jam. If they're not shot correctly, they can jam. You get stovepiping, double feeds, stuff like that. Is it rare? Yes. Get a good quality gun, learn how to shoot it, you should not have problems. There's a reason why pretty much every law enforcement agency out there carries a semi-automatic over a revolver. Another problem I see out there is some people have a very hard time racking the slide. To me, it's probably 90% technique, 10% strength on that. If we can teach people that are in their 80s and close to 90 how to rack one of these with ease, anybody can really do it. Some of them are tighter and harder to rack than others. Some are extremely easy. The Shield Easy, for example, very simple to do. You can do it with one finger, push them back on the rear sight. Walther has the PK380. That's another one, very simple to use. You also got to remember when you get to the real tiny guns, let's say the Ruger LCP, they're a little bit harder to pull back because you're grabbing onto a little slide that's like that thick. So that's one of the cons I'll put in there for it. Besides that, my personal preference for concealed carry and my nightstand gun is going to be the semi-automatic, just because of the capacity and how quick you can reload it. Now, revolvers. And I'm not bashing revolvers here. Please don't take it that way. Let me take the little cap out. This is unloaded. A lot of pros to the revolver. Let's break into it real quick. Easy to maintain. I got a lot of these statistics from classes that we teach. We teach or taught a ton of classes. We're going to get back into teaching classes very soon. And this is what I got back from people, the feedback I got back from clients that had brand new guns. They bought revolvers somewhere and all this other stuff. And one day I'll get into the story how we even started selling guns. But this is the feedback I got from these people. So this is real life stuff right here. Easy to maintain. Yeah, they are. There's nothing really to take apart. You want to clean this thing, pop open the cylinder, get your cleaning kit out, your push rods, all that, clean it, it's done. I mean, front of the cylinder to me is always a real pain to clean, and I'm pretty fastidious when I clean my guns, so I spend the most of the time up there making sure it's perfect and shiny. So, easy to clean. Easy to inspect. Yeah, they're pretty easy to inspect on these things. I think they're both easy to inspect in my opinion, but this is all you have. That's it. I could break these down for you in a second too. There's no magazines for it. Some people have a hard time, I don't know why, losing magazines or something like that. It's simple. You're going to put your 6 rounds in there, close it, there you go. We'll get into the cons of reloading these in a minute. Can sometimes shoot multiple calibers. What I mean by that, like a 357 will shoot a 38 special. Won't go the other way around, but you can do that. So if you bought one of these in a 357, you can shoot the 357 round or a 38 special. Myself, I was going to carry a revolver. 38 is perfect for me. That's all I'm going to need. But having the 357 option is great because let's say you go hiking in the woods and there's big critters out there that might hurt you. I'd rather have a 357 than a 38, which brings me into the next pro of a revolver, large caliber rounds. Again, I already told you my personal preference for personal protection is going to be a semi-automatic, but if I'm going out into the woods, and when I went up to Georgia last year, I brought a really large caliber revolver with me because I was more afraid of bear than anything else. You can do that with the revolver, which you're really not going to do with the semi-automatic. Yes, people argue Desert Eagle has the 50 AE. Awesome, awesome gun. Huge. You're not really going to carry it. You can get a 44 Magnum. It's still reasonable size with the revolver. Now, let's jump into the cons. And you'll notice that I find that there's more cons with the revolver than there is with the semi-automatic. First one is, one of the pros was no magazine. Well, to me, one of the cons is no magazine. It's a lot longer to reload a revolver. Basically, if this is empty, you're shooting it, it's empty, open up your cylinder, eject all the spent casings. If you have a speed loader, push it in there, close it, back to shooting. If you don't have a speed loader, you're going to individually load each round into the chamber. And you want to learn how to do this without looking, so you can keep your eye on your threat or whatever else is going on around you. So that to me, and there's 2 cons here. They have no magazine and slower to reload. I'm going to put them in the same ballpark. Limited capacity. Yes, your standard revolver is going to be, let's say, 6 rounds, 5 to 6 rounds. Tends to be wider. Why do we go with that? For something this size with the capacity, I'll compare this to a like Glock 43, a Shield, anything like that. The cylinder makes it a lot wider, more cumbersome to carry. Usually more expensive. This is an all-metal gun. These jump up in price a little bit. Yes, the manufacturers are bringing them down to make them more reasonable to compare with the semi-automatic, but you'll jump up in price on it. A high-quality revolver will cost you a few pennies. Harder trigger pull. Your standard trigger pull on your semi-automatic is going to be roughly, let's say, 5 to 7 pounds in there. There are some that are greater than that. And I'm talking your double action only and your striker fires. With a revolver, they're over 10 pounds most of the time. A lot of times they're 14 pounds. Our poundage gauge only goes up to 14 pounds, and a lot of times it exceeds it on there. Is it horrible? No. Is it a lot harder to press the trigger? Yes. Some people argue, well, I'm just going to pull the hammer back and have it, and then it's super light in that condition. And that's super light and short to press back. However, are you really going to have a time in a no situation to pull that gun out quickly enough to pull that hammer back and to fire the shot and hit your target? If you don't practice routinely, I doubt it. Remember, everything's going to be happening in about 2 seconds. So if you're buying a gun like this, you need to be able to shoot it effectively by not pulling the hammer back, by pressing the trigger the way it is right now. So to me, that's the pros and cons with your semi-automatic versus your revolver. Against personal preference. If the cons of the revolver don't bother you and you like the revolver, buy the revolver. If the semi-automatic, that's what you're looking, buy the semi-automatic. It's got to fit comfortable in your hands, and you got to be able to effectively use it. I mean, take it out of the holster, shoot it, hit your target. You got to be able to want to carry it too. If you're buying this for personal protection, for a concealed carry gun, you got to make sure this gun is going to be able, you're going to be able to conceal it on your person. You're going to be able to wear it. Do I want you to put it in your purse, ladies? No. I'd rather you have it on your person. What's the first thing the bad guy takes? Your purse. So I'd rather you have it on your person. If you're wearing an outfit that doesn't allow that, fine, in your purse, as long as you have it with you. To me, again, the semi-automatic's easier. You got to make that decision. And if anybody tells you that you need a revolver because it's easier to use, they pretty much just call you an idiot. Walk out, leave, don't listen to that person's advice. Put that gun in your hand, feel it. And again, stop by a reputable gun shop when you're looking at these things, because they're going to give you the best information. And if you're in the area of Sarasota, stop by and see us here. I mean, we'll sit down, have a cup of coffee. We'll go over the pros and cons with you. I'll show them to you. I'll pull them all out of the case, let you feel them. Folks, have a great day. Stay tuned for part 3 coming soon.